Greetings, salutations. I hope your day is going well. Mine's going better than it has the last few days. I did not do a vlog yesterday because I was at the Indian Hospital in Ada, Oklahoma all day with my son Nick. I did have opportunity to talk to a few friends, and more importantly, I had the opportunity to speak with my younger sister that owns my heart. We had a good long talk. Here is a problem that is weird to some people. This is a $350 phone. This is a $15 phone. This phone can't get a signal inside the Indian Hospital. About all I can do with it in there is play video games, and this one, as cheap as it is, gets a signal anywhere. It's my backup. And folks, I've got to put this thing on a charger real quick. Having time to do things that need to be done is really hard for me. So my son Nicholas and I came to an understanding yesterday. In the morning, before he goes to work, he will take his son Cheyenne early to catch a bus down to the college in Ardmore. Then he finishes out the rest of his day at the high school. I think my wife may still be in bed. I don't know. We're older and we're having a rough, hard time of it on just about everything. Excuse me. There are so many things I would like to do that I just don't have time to do. One thing I'm going to make time for today is I will be writing on my book. I'm about halfway through the first chapter, and it's going to have some good tidbits in it. I'm not one of those guys that has a problem with writer's block. It just flows through my head, out through my fingertips, into a keyboard is the best way to describe it. My first publisher, Carol Adler, said I'm the best natural-born writer she ever came across. What she didn't know are the hundreds and hundreds of police reports I had to write when I was a cop. I watched more than one officer arrest someone, do his paperwork, and then that individual that did a horrendous deed get off scot-free due to the ineffectiveness of the initial police report. That's part of it. The other part is being able to sit inside a courtroom and be professional. But the main thing I found that tripped up prosecutors, one thing that was basically a problem with both the prosecutor and the cop that did the arrest was dishonesty on their part, trying to make the crime seem worse than it was. Policy I had is I always spoke exactly what happened, was always honest and truthful in my reports and in my testimony. And there used to be a saying, actually two sayings. A lawyer needs to know how to look the law up. A cop needs to know what the law is. Because law enforcement, think about those two words. You're enforcing what is the law of the land. But one thing that has tripped up cops, by and large, it used to, is lack of education. Now, here's the thing that has improved. There are small towns, including this one near me, Davis, that will hire someone to be a police officer, and they have to go through CLEAT, and all they need is a GED or a high school diploma. That really and truly is a travesty, and here's why. If an individual does not, and many departments now require you to have a degree when you start working for them in a continuing education program. It's a requirement, but many do not. Small town departments have a tendency to just get who they can. Just a second. Yeah. But I went all the way from being a local reserve to being a local police officer to being a deputy sheriff to working for the fourth largest police department in the nation, that's Oklahoma City Police Department, to working as a federal officer. Went all the way up. What was the key to me advancing like that? Continuing education. Getting degrees that were pertinent to my chosen field of employment, and I did okay. But you're going to see more and more instances where the bad guys are going to get off scot-free for two reasons. One, well, the main reason is those that are charged with prosecuting them get bribed to fail. It's kind of like an athlete in Major League Baseball throwing the game or whatever professional team. Someone bribes them and they have bets going, and dishonesty takes its course, and the next thing you know, everything winds up being a big puddle of mud. But that's one thing, is someone bribing the officials that are in charge of prosecution. The other thing is the lack of honesty on part of the officers and lack of education. And that's going to become a bigger and bigger problem. You're going to watch some things unfold in this nation in the coming months that defy anyone. It defies real logic. Anyone that can think independently, they're going to wonder, how in the world did that happen? Well, you're going to see it. So I just gave you a couple of clues. New subscribers, give you some information about me. I've been a professional tracker, mostly men. I've been an author. I've been in law enforcement, was in it for 28 years altogether. Retired in 2006, June 3rd, 2006, from the Defense Intelligence Agency, which I'm still connected to somewhat. My wife and I watch a show at night called Madam Secretary, and the secretary, it stars Tia Leone, and her paramour, her husband on the show, is a guy named Tim Daly, Tyne Daly's brother. Did a little background on him, and Tia Leone was married to David Duchovny, who played on X-Files, and they got divorced. They do have some children together. Let me get a sip. Tia Leone is 47, and Tim Daly is 57. There's a 10-year age gap. And playing husband and wife on that show for 6 seasons, they actually fell in love, and they're cohabitating now. Not married, but cohabitating. the one thing I find interesting is the situations on there a lot of times mirror some stuff I was involved in. And the other thing is that they make left-leaning ideology, left-leaning political practices be the hero of the show. In other words, the Democrats. My opinion on this whole thing is there's evil in both parties, Democrat and Republican. That's why I'm a libertarian. I'm a strict constitutional conservative. I'm an unapologetic believer in Yeshua ben Miriam, which is Jesus Christ. I do believe he's coming back. I believe he is the God of this planet. And I think that Satan is real. I know he's real. You know, my sister and I spoke about that some yesterday when I had her on the phone. She's reading a book by Glenn Beck. I like Glenn Beck okay. And I don't remember what the name of the book is. It's Dark something or another, but he gives them a good, I'll call it a catalog as to what is taking place, what is taking place, how the elites are trying to starve everyone else out. My younger brother Chris believes that food is going to become an issue here real quick. It could. Part of the book I'm writing, the name of the book is called Urban Survival, and I'm going to be talking about things to do with surviving in case there's an apocalyptic type breakdown. That has happened in the past, and it will happen again. I believe that we have leaders, if you want to call them that, they're interested strictly in lining their own pocket and amassing as much personal power as they can. I hear my 160-pound dog out there barking. And yes, Matt, she weighs that much. You wouldn't think so. But she does. We've weighed her. The vet weighed her. She's huge. She's gotten much bigger since I got her. And she's sweet as she can be. That's why I named her Precious. She's a English Mastiff, Bull Mastiff. And evidently the vet said she's probably pure-blooded. Somebody spent some money on her. And she's a sweetheart, except when she comes in slobbering and wipes her slobber all over me and my wife while we're trying to watch television. But we love her anyway, just like my wife's little Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. She named Oliver. He's an absolute horrendously badly behaved dog. He's little, he's like a walking sausage. All our animals have been fixed. We don't, all my wife's and everyone living in our house, our animals have been fixed. Now, across the parking lot, they got a plethora of cats that keep having kittens. But anyway, getting back on subject, the thing that I want you, my viewers, to keep in mind is never hopeless. Never. I've witnessed too much in my long years to ever believe everything's hopeless. There's always a way around problems. There's always a way to resolve things. Two things you need to do, though, and keep in mind. Let me get a sip. one, there is a God. There really is. And He loves you. He does. Just a second. I hate this. Allergies are off scale today. I mean, they're just tearing me up. If there is a God, if you don't believe there is a God, well, He believes in you. You're His child. Study Scripture, study the Bible, and love Him and thank Him every day for your blessings. That's the first thing you got to know in these trying times. God is large and He's in charge. You have to allow Him to help you, because most people set up a barrier, either through their ideas, their thoughts, their behavior, and their ego. Scripture says natural man is an enemy unto God. Well, I've been an enemy unto God most of my life. I try not to be now. I'm doing things entirely different than I used to do it. But when times are rough, turn to your Maker, turn to God, and ask Him to help you. And He will. I'm here to tell you, He will. It might not be in the way you think it should be, like He's not going to give you $1 million all of a sudden, but He will make a way for you. And the second thing in trying times is be a little prepared, or a lot prepared. There are some basic things you need to do in life to have that which you need. One, don't go into debt. Now, if you go into debt on a home, that's one thing. In a vehicle, two things you really have to have. But pay them off as fast as you can. But you don't need a fancy phone. I hate this phone. I'm going to be changing it out. Well, why did you spend that much on a phone? Well, I have business, and this is a business phone. The number is appendaged to 5 different things I do to bring money in. They're all registered businesses, but it is a necessity. I just hate the phone. It drops calls. It hardly gets a signal anywhere. I got it through U.S. Cellular, and I found that U.S. Cellular and AT&T both have problems with that. I wish I could use that as a business phone, but I can't. It's a flip phone, cheap flip phone, but I can get the internet on it. I can do email on it if I figured out how. I could text on it if I could figure out how to do that. I'm not saying I'm stupid, but I'm not a technology wizard. I'm really not. But get out of debt, and I used to have a little stylus for this little thing. That's my BlackBerry. And I like it. It's not one I've ever actually used. The one I use from AT&T is in my desk down there. But I need to take my wife and go to the Verizon store in Ada, Oklahoma one of these days soon and get me something through them. They have a tendency, they brag about it, but they really do have better coverage. I got sidetracked and I apologize. But what you need to do is ensure your position. You don't have to have the best food. You don't have to have the best tennis shoes. You don't have to have a shiny car. You don't have to have a $1,000 iPhone. You just don't. Do with or do without. You don't have to have the best food. The way I eat scares my doctor sometimes. My favorite food in the world, and I was going to get me some when I took my son Brandon to work, but they were basically sold out. I love sushi, and it's kind of healthy too. Well, folks, I'm going to have to get off here. I do have things I've got to get done today. I'll upload this. To my new subscribers, just know this. If I don't personally know you, know that I love you anyway. And if you want to be friends with me on something besides here, just go to Tucklow Neshoba at Facebook and send me a friend request. I'll honor it. Well, I love all of you. God bless all of you, and I mean that. And thank Him for your blessings, because you are blessed. Like that sign right there says, be kind. Always and forever be kind. Bye.